2311 and Front Row are represented by attorney Jeffrey Kessler. NASCAR is represented by Chris Yates. But the final word before proceedings began belongs to Denny Hamlin. This weekend, on the eve of the trial, Denny took exception to an ESPN article written by Ryan McGee. Hamlin then wrote in a post, quote, "Lies are over starting Monday morning. It's time for the truth. It's time for change."
What happens when one of NASCAR's biggest names sits in a courtroom and suddenly breaks down while talking about the sport that shaped his entire life? That's exactly what unfolded this week, and what Denny Hamlin revealed on the witness stand might end up reshaping NASCAR forever. On Monday, a major trial kicked off in Charlotte, North Carolina. This isn't a routine lawsuit. This is Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan going head-to-head with NASCAR itself. And when Hamlin took the stand as the first witness, no one expected the emotional moment that followed. Just a few minutes into his testimony, Hamlin started crying. He paused, trying to regain his composure. Why? He was asked how his racing journey began, and his mind went straight to his father. Hamlin said his dad is very sick right now, and the weight of that hit him hard. You could hear the strain in his voice. Hamlin described being 20 years old and facing a massive decision. He could keep chasing his racing dream or quit and go work for his father's trailer business. His family had sacrificed so much to get him to that point, but he chose racing, and that decision carried him all the way to NASCAR's top series. Even once he became a successful driver, Hamlin said building a race team felt almost impossible. He found a failing team he thought he could buy, but he knew he needed help. So he turned to someone he'd grown close to over the years, Michael Jordan. Hamlin used to be a season ticket holder when Jordan owned the Charlotte Hornets. The two built a friendship, and when Hamlin needed a partner, Jordan was the first person he thought of. On the stand, Hamlin said something that really stuck out. "If I couldn't succeed with Michael as my partner, I knew this wasn't going to work." And Jordan was right there in the courtroom, watching every word. Jordan's involvement changed everything. Since launching 2311 Racing in 2021, the team has actually made money in 4 of its 5 seasons, something almost unheard of in modern NASCAR. So why are Hamlin and Jordan suing NASCAR? And why is this trial such a big deal for the sport's future? At its core, the lawsuit argues that NASCAR is acting like a monopoly. 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports say NASCAR controls everything, leaving teams with no alternatives. If you want to race at the top level, you play by NASCAR's rules, or you don't race at all. The team's attorney, Jeffrey Kessler, laid out some stunning numbers in his opening remarks. He said Front Row owner Bob Jenkins has never made a profit since starting his team in 2004. 21 years, 0 financial gain. Even after winning the 2021 Daytona 500, Front Row still didn't turn a profit. But it gets worse. Kessler said NASCAR's own internal study showed that 75% of teams lost money in 2024. Meanwhile, over a 3-year span, the France family, NASCAR's owners, took home nearly $400 million. A Goldman Sachs valuation in 2023 put NASCAR's worth at $5 billion. Kessler summed it up bluntly. The evidence will show Mr. France ran this for the benefit of his family at the expense of the teams. In other words, the owners get richer while the teams fall apart. At the center of the case is NASCAR's charter system. Before charters, teams showed up and hoped to qualify. Nothing was guaranteed. Now, owning a charter guarantees a spot in every race and a share of the revenue. And the charters themselves have become extremely valuable. Hamlin broke down exactly what 2311 Racing paid for their 3 charters. The first cost $4.7 million. The second, $13.5 million. The third, purchased late last year, cost $28 million. All 3 came from teams that shut down. That's the concerning part. Teams fold so often that buying charters from failed organizations has become routine. Hamlin admitted that the price of that 3rd charter made him nervous, especially with this lawsuit looming, but said they had no real choice. To grow into a top organization, they needed a 3rd car, and the most recent charter sale in the sport went for an eye-popping $45 million. Here's where the numbers get ugly. Hamlin testified that it costs about $20 million just to run one car through a full 38-race season, and that $20 million doesn't include the driver's salary or the overall business expenses. Those are extra. Under the new deal, teams receive $12.5 million per charter. NASCAR says this is an improvement from the old $9 million figure. But do the math. Teams spend at least $20 million and receive $12.5 million. That's a $7.5 million gap. Money teams must find through sponsorships. Kessler asked a pointed question. Why would anyone do this if they're going to lose money because NASCAR won't give them a fair deal? His answer, because teams love stock car racing, and there's nowhere else to race at this level. That's the monopoly argument in one sentence. Hamlin also mentioned something alarming. Of the first 19 teams granted charters, 11 no longer exist. More than half of them went out of business. The charter system was supposed to stabilize teams, but instead, the teams keep collapsing. Hamlin admitted the only reason 23XI Racing is financially stable is because of Michael Jordan. His name draws sponsors that smaller teams simply can't attract. Without Jordan, Hamlin said, they'd likely be struggling like everyone else. NASCAR, of course, pushed back. Their attorney Johnny Stevenson defended the France family, saying they built NASCAR from nothing into an American success story. He argued that 75 years of work shouldn't be punished with a lawsuit. NASCAR claims the charter system has been a blessing for teams, creating $1.5 billion in total equity for them. Before charters, teams had nothing to sell when they shut down. Now they have significant assets. NASCAR also pointed to the increase in charter payments from $9 million to $12.5 million as proof they're trying to support the teams. But critics say the bigger question remains. If everything is so great, why are 3/4 of the teams losing money? Why have more than half of the original charter teams vanished? Why has Front Row gone 21 years without a profit? The trial also had its lighter moments. During jury selection, one potential juror was removed after admitting, "I like Mike," saying he couldn't be unbiased. Another was dismissed because they had Michael Jordan posters all over their room as a kid. One juror mentioned being a North Carolina fan, and Jordan shook his head and laughed when the juror joked about the football team's struggles. Sitting in court were some of NASCAR's most influential figures, Jim France, NASCAR's chairman, and Lisa France Kennedy, the vice chair. Both had to leave after opening statements because they may be called as witnesses. Industry insider Brett Griffin shared a wish list of what he hopes comes from this trial. He wants teams to be allowed to build their own cars and buy parts from multiple suppliers instead of being locked into NASCAR's system. He wants teams to receive a real share of NASCAR's revenue, not just a portion. He wants charters to become permanent so teams don't live with constant uncertainty. He wants drivers to be able to organize and negotiate collectively, and he wants NASCAR to show more respect to dedicated fans and stop letting people talk down to drivers and teams. So, what's next? If NASCAR wins, 23XI Racing and Front Row Motorsports could disappear completely. Their 6 cars would be gone. NASCAR, which currently holds their charters, could sell them, possibly to private equity groups already showing interest. But if the teams win, everything could shift. The judge could award damages. He could force NASCAR to overhaul its entire business model. He could even require NASCAR to sell or dismantle parts of the charter system. Nothing is off limits. This trial could tear NASCAR apart and rebuild the sport from the ground up. This isn't just about contracts. It's about whether teams can survive. Hamlin made that clear when he said teams must compete against NASCAR itself for sponsors, employees, and funding, and only one side ever folds. It's always the teams, never NASCAR. The trial will continue with more testimony from Hamlin and eventually NASCAR's top leadership. Whatever the verdict is, it will shape stock car racing for decades. Will NASCAR stay under the tight control of one family, or will teams finally gain real power? The sport is about to find out.